let's get into some more of the technical details about the MetaRide itself. So again, brand new for 2019. I'm wearing this shoe in a size 9, which is my traditional size, and I put it on the scale and it comes in at 10.6 ounces. So fairly lightweight, especially for a shoe with this much cushion. Starting with the upper, circular knit upper, nice and flexible, feels really good around the foot. I would stay true to size for you if you're trying this shoe on for yourself. We have an external heel counter, which they're calling the MetaClutch heel, so a nice secure grip once you get your foot inside the shoe. And then we have these linear support lines that are going to follow the length of your foot and keep it pressed down into the midsole. Now speaking of the midsole, the layer closest to your foot is traditional flight foam, so nice and firm, nice and responsive, so you're going to feel a lot of the cushioning as you're making contact with the ground. Now under that, we have this layer of Asics gel, which is going to be primarily in the heel, so when you're making contact, you get a little bit of that dampening force as well. Now, the layer closest to the ground is flight foam Propel, so that's a little bit more responsive, a little more bouncy, so that when you're getting ready to propel off of the ground, hence the name Propel, you get a little bit more of that kickback. And then we get a really, really nice grippy outsole as well. Now, what you can see in the bottom of this shoe is that we do have a guidance line that's going to be fairly aggressive in the curvature, but then you also get this nice cut out. You can probably see from this end a little bit better. So that's just going to help the foot decouple and guide that foot through the running cycle. So before we get into the technical details of the shoe specifically, I wanted to quickly review two primary motions that your foot is going through during your run. So the first is dorsiflexion, and the second is plantarflexion. This is going to become especially important as we understand more of the mechanics about the shoe in a few minutes. So the combination of all of those features is what makes the MetaRide unique. Now, addressing the features in the midsole specifically, the combination of all of these things is what Asics is calling their guide sole technology. So the whole idea, again, is to make that runner more efficient for longer during their runs. Now, how it's doing that, to review, we talked about our mechanics. So dorsiflexion, plantarflexion. What the MetaRide is looking to do specifically is to eliminate how much that foot is having to work during your run. How it's doing that is, if you notice on the bottom of the shoe, there's a fairly drastic curvature. Now, how that works is they make this shoe extremely rigid. Now, what that is going to do for you specifically is that when your foot's ready to approach the ground and make contact, the rounded heel decreases the necessity for that foot to want to dorsiflex. Now, in order to dorsiflex, you have to recruit a lot of the muscles in the front of your shin. Once you make contact with the ground, the shoe is going to roll you forward, and what you'll notice most drastically is from the ball of your foot forward. There's a very, very drastic curvature that's happening there, and that's where the shoe is the most rigid through the midsole. Now what happens is typically when you're running in shoes that are more flexible, you have to use your calf muscles more to propel your foot forward and push off of your big toe. With this shoe, since it's so rigid and since this is such a drastic curvature, the shoe basically does the work for you so that you can keep the angle of your shin and your foot the same throughout the course of your entire run. Now what that means is less motion here and here means less work for the muscles in the front of your shin and in the calf specifically. So I had the opportunity to run in the MetaRide for the first time last week. I decided to go with my standard size, which is a size 9. And I was perfectly comfortable during the entirety of my run. The knit upper just flexes with the foot, moves really well, and felt very comfortable from the first few steps all the way through the end of my run. Now, what I noticed was I started my run fairly slow and then increased my pace from there, and what I felt was that the shoe was more efficient the faster that I went. So the faster that I was progressing on my run, the better the shoe felt. And so that was a unique experience for me. I had a couple of coworkers running it and have a similar experience. Now, that doesn't mean that this shoe is only meant to go fast. Again, the whole idea of this shoe is to be more efficient over the course of your run. But what I felt was, because of how rigid this shoe was, anytime I started to move toward the heel or fatigue at all, it was almost like the shoe was reminding me to stay efficient and to run with good form. Now, I'm not saying that the shoe is going to make you run with better form, but what I did notice was the faster that I went, the more efficient that I was with my stride, the better the shoe performed. So it was almost like a gentle reminder that if I was running with better efficiency, the shoe and the experience was going to feel a little bit better overall. All right, thanks for checking out the video. If you're interested in trying to shoe for yourself or if you have additional questions, make sure you stop in your local Gazelle Sports. Catch you in the next one.